because of digitalization, the bank, you can transfer money 24 hours. You can receive money 24 hours. So he doesn't understand his own policy. It does not make sense.
So tonight on the show, we ask, are you willing to work in the proposed 3-shift system as part of a 24-hour economy? And is the Ghanaian worker ready for a 24-hour economy? We connect after the break.
When you want to eat, just Momo it. Tired of the long queues in the supermarket? Pay with Momo. When you really want that beautiful new blouse, just Momo it. When you want to get a trim and get fresh to impress you know who, just Momo it. When you need to pay your utility bills and domestic staff, Shani Momo. When you want to send love to the family back home, send some Momo. Join the millions of MTN Momo users all over Ghana and live life the brighter way. So just Momo it. MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom. And my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
No matter your water needs, Syntex has it all. Syntex tank was first to introduce double layer tank, and now you can have as many layers as you want. Syntex tank was first to introduce white inner layer tanks in Ghana, and now introduces the customer specs order, which will let you order any color and size you want. Syntex tanks gives you the biggest warranty of 7 years, which no other tank gives you. So whatever your water consumption, size of project, or demand, choose Syntex tank. Syntex tank, stress-free. Syntex tank, reliable. Syntex tank, maximum guarantee. Call 0244 335 168, Kumasi 0505 555 666, or visit syntexgh.com. Syntex tank, a strong, a tough.
It is your time to vote for your assembly members and unit committee members. So get involved and vote.
Citizens of Ghana, this is an urgent call from the National Commission for Civic Education, NCCE. District level election is here again. This year's election will take place on the 19th of December 2023. Every 4 years, Ghanaians are enjoined to elect citizens to serve as assembly and unit committee members to help facilitate the development of your community and the district. The time to exercise that civic duty is now. On Tuesday, December 19th, 2023, visit your voting center between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. with your valid voter's ID card and cast your vote to elect your preferred candidate. Remember, democracy begins at the local governance level. Your vote counts. Vote for development change agents. Vote for Ghana. A message from the National Commission for Civic Education, NCCE.
As the commander-in-chief in my house, I always ensure that I give my family the best. And this includes their television viewing. That's why we watch GoTV.
GoTV gives you all the local drama on Aquaba Magic.
And I watch my favorite cartoons on GoTV.
GoTV Super Plus in T, I get all the Premier League games, La Liga, Serie A, and Europa. This festive season, Yenya Gibraltar, dial *759# to reconnect today and be part of the excitement. Go TV, love it.
I'm a way! Yeah! media some bisanda mo. Eti emrati no. Mumu hwan pa na tumi hwe na mo bodom pe mo man yakono.
Eye kwabna.
No mumu hwan so na tumi just mali me ma yene nyina de.
Eye kojo.
Enu kro. Kobre tumi hwe na bodom pe mo sense wo yusu accident eba. Ayede yon ban do braye. Wo si echi na mo ban na sem ma na hode ne.
Sa
ani na kudwo nso yusu accident chako. Na enu ne de e ma wo se wo ye krejen fita. Na watimi asiri bedwo ma na feel you.
Ey kojo sa.
Yeah. Pepsodent Heba and a Pepsodent Charcoal. Afedie.
Ya kono natural.
FDIJ twadi nkato yatu.
Welcome back to the show. This is Ghana Connect right here on Joy 99.7 FM. My name is Kwaku Asante. And tonight on the show, we ask, are you willing to work on the proposed 3-shift system as part of a 24-hour economy? And is the Ghanaian worker ready for a 24-hour economy?
Fellow Ghanaians. Yo, for
to transform Ghana into a fully fledged 24-hour economy by optimizing available resources. Ghana must work more efficiently. The 24-hour policy will be anchored as an economy that runs around the clock with a 3-shift work schedule in many sectors. The intent is to transform Ghana into first a self-sufficient and then an export-led economy. To be clear, we are not creating a command economy with centralized planning that will be at variance with our social democratic principles as a party.
Idea. And what is the new idea? He says he wants a 24-hour economy. 24-hour economy. He doesn't even understand that policy. Today in Ghana, our hospitals work 24 hours. Our electricity company works 24 hours. Our water company works 24 hours. Our phone companies work 24 hours. Many job bars work 24 hours. Isn't it? Today, because of digitalization, the banks, you can transfer money 24 hours. You can receive money 24 hours. Isn't it? So he doesn't understand his own policy. It does not make sense.
Or the 24-hour economy. So kasa on carbon, obi obeka say 24-hour economy no. Enya di papa no. Next or no anti politics I say. Jesi ebisa yewra John Mahama say. Die na ubeya ebema economy no. Etimi run it 24 hours. And only question I see ebisa. I agree.
Country hot, plenty no get what to eat. Even begin they feel the heat. So we all they pray for change. We say fix the country.
They say fix yourself.
This 24-hour economy. Hey, when we work in our farms and we are tired in the night, we have to sleep with our wives. So we have to be with our wives. So in the night, you want us also to go and be farming, and then people will come and take our wives away. Now we have to be careful about this 24-hour thing.
Fellow Ghanaians. Yo, for real.
Sound bites from John Mahama himself, who is making the promise. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who's challenged the very premise of that promise. Alan Trematin has also waded in. And then we have a regional minister also question the foundation of the principle. We have some brilliant minds connecting with us here in Ghana and abroad. First is a Ghanaian based in the United Kingdom. He will join us shortly. George Poku. Philip Saba is an activist and a law student. He's connecting with us right here in studio. Philip, it's good to have you join us.
Yeah, Kwaku. Good evening.
Good to have you, Philip. Abdallah Abdul Mateen is becoming a regular on the show and connects with us on Zoom. Abdallah, if you can unmute and let's hear from you. Mateen. Okay, Mateen will unmute shortly, but Emmanuel Owuswe J is a postgraduate student in the United States of America. Ima, good to have you. Hello, Ampim.
Hello, Kwaku. Yes, Kwaku, can you hear me?
I can hear you live. And today, your headset is.
Kwaku, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm talking about your headset today. Quite big, bigger than mine in the studio today.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. We'll fix that connection shortly, and then we'll get to Ampim and then Mateen, who is also on Zoom. I can hear all of you clearly. So let me come in studio and let me start the conversation from Philip Saba. You've heard the promise about a 24-hour economy. What is your understanding of the 24-hour economy? And is it really the game changer as the NDC wants to tout it?
Yeah, Kwaku, so when we talk about 24-hour economy, we have had concerns and issues being addressed over the days, over these few days that this conversation has been in our domain. You see, this is one great thing basically that has been driving most of our colleagues outside Ghana. You see, when you go outside Ghana, you go to the likes of Canada, you go to the likes of US, you go to the likes of the UK and many other countries. They operate this economy in their cities, and in most places it has been something that has become a norm that people are practicing, and this weighing a lot of people away from the country. You see friends who go to school and then at their leisure time or days that they don't have classes, they go to work and do many other things. This is something that the nation builder, President John Dramani Mahama, has thought well of, engage civil societies and organized labor and many other people, and announced that this is what would change the economy of Ghana. And when you look at the situation we have currently as a country, this is one key thing that would transform our economy largely. Looking at the fact that there are lots of unemployment issues facing this country, the youth are, most of us are unemployed. We see many of our friends traveling, leaving Ghana. Ghana, that is our motherland, our beloved country. A lot of us are leaving. And then you realize that there is a pressure on government, and government consuming more, or government being the most spender of our economy, gets to import a lot of things from outside, which if the capacity is given to Ghanaians, or we have that capacity as a country, we'll be able to produce some of these things. And as long as demand is there, in that high demand is there, what we just need is to increase production to meet the demand, so that the pressure on our importation, which makes our CD suffer to the dollar, can be mitigated. So this is a laudable idea, and it is so trivial and very comical of people to say that chop bars operate 24 hours. So this something.
Some chop bars. You live in Osu, you see all the institutions, almost all of them running 24 hours.
Kwaku, there is some novelty attached to this policy.
What is the novelty?
You see, this is a policy that will give tax incentives to those who would engage in it. As we speak, there are some chop bars, there is night market in Osu. There is no tax incentive to whatever that they do.
But they are doing it.
When we are even going beyond the kenke and the rice water and those things that we eat in the evening. We are looking at production. We are looking at getting more companies to work more, providing them that necessary security. And you remember that the policy documents that has been out there, we have issues of we have government interceding or providing time of use tariff meters calibrated to fit in some of these situations. And this is something that is intentional to boost the economy of Ghana. This is not something that has been practiced. We don't have such a thing in Ghana. So to say that chobbers and witches are flying 24/7, so
I'm not sure we've heard anybody say witches
no, someone said that this policy, when implemented, will prevent the witches. That's what Lawyer Apple said, that it will prevent the witches from flying. And someone said that you can transfer Mumu 24/7. So that is it. I think people are taking us for a joke in this country. And
I'll go to Martin shortly, but I think isn't the point that Dr. Baumia and the NPP and others who've questioned the policy, haven't they said that, listen, you have some segment of the Ghanaian society that operates 24/7. I cited the Osu example.
You see,
almost no shop in Osu closes.
Gogo, I stay in Osu. Shops close, and even currently, when you go to Osu, the Oxford Street that is popularly known as the 24/7 street is now dwindling. You go there sometimes around 8, 10, and the shops are closed because the economy. People are not even buying. People are. What are you even outside doing? A lot of the youths are even going out of the country, and they are chasing greener pastures. What are the greener pastures? What do those countries do differently from us? We have most of the things that those countries depend on, but what do they go outside to do? They go outside because there is a stable economy where you can work for some few hours, sleep for some few hours, and you make a living. Ghana, we rest for 16 hours and we work for 8 hours. Yet we want to be self-sufficient and economically stable. It doesn't work like that. You can't work for fewer hours and rest for a larger hour, and you want to have an economy that will be good looking. That's why the nation builder proposed this. And you see, the funny side of it is that the technocrats, the economists, those who understand the to-do and the technical know-how of this policy applauded him and commend him for such a great initiative. So for us to see politicians trivializing this whole conversation, which is coming to change the face of Ghanaian economy, to put us on that level of that jealousy, being that black star of Africa, I think people should rather descend on some of these discussions so well and come up with some captivating thoughts about this whole thing. I would have expected the vice president and the president to have even run on this policy and say that if you are proposing that, then we will even start it. So because the momentum that this policy is gaining, you realize that the yearn for Ghanaian youth, the yearn for the market woman, the yearn for every other person, everybody is yearning for this policy to give you the essence this policy and the changing that the policy is bringing on board. So this policy, as you said, is indeed the game changer.
Wow. Martin, game changer. Philip in studio says this is the game changer. He sought out to try and explain why this is so important and why nothing cannot change in terms of the state of our economy without this. A game changer, you agree with, right?
Well, thank you so much for having me. Good evening, Kwaku, and then good evening to Philip and all your listenership. It is indeed another opportunity for me, and I really appreciate the time to join you this evening. Kwaku, given the circumstances and given the NDC's approach over the years towards unconventional ideas and novelties, the NDC's immediate approach towards every policy proposal, the MPP muted, were to immediately dismiss it willy-nilly and to poo-poo it and say that it was impossible. We from the MPP side, our approach to this, it is not to immediately wave it aside and say it is impossible, because we believe it is possible. However, there are certain critical questions that needs to be raised when you are making a certain critical policy proposal. It shouldn't just be a trick to organize a rule and throw it to the unsuspecting electorate and dress it or sugarcoat it as if it is a novelty or it is unconventional. I mean, we have all known this. We've all had a chip system in our market economy. It is not a novelty. However, the point I am going to make is that it is only in Ghana that a certain inept political party thinks that a 24-hour market system can be forged in a room and superimposed willy-nilly on an economy. In the first place, there's simply no question of whether its demand for around-the-clock services and products is high enough in Ghana to warrant or to justify a 24-hour economy. I'm not speaking politics. Kwaku, you know my background. I've taken off my political spectacle, and I'm coming in from the perspective of economics. It is already done. I mean, this particular system or whatever the so-called novelty by the NDC, it is already done in specific sectors like the health care, the emergency centers, or transportation, where limited demand for those services meet supply. It's already in the system. So it's shocking for NDC to force us to believe that this is new. You know, one important principle in economics is that you don't impose markets on an economy. Markets are organically necessitated by the economy's interplay of demand and supply forces. So, you don't force or forge or organize a particular policy that involves a demand side and a supply side, and you want to willy-nilly by force and compel the economy to accept that. The purpose, what I would suggest is that we work towards structuring our economic fundamentals. When we are able to do that, then we can be able to say that the economy organically will grow itself and transform itself. When we are able to trigger the necessary policies, we can get the desired results. But you cannot just overnight think that you can forge or organize a particular policy and impose it on the economy.
So what I hear is
that is why I said seemingly the trick is that let's just organize a rule and sugarcoat it and throw it to the unsuspecting electric in an effort to slow Ghanaians, because they think that Ghanaians buy so much into sloganeering.
Okay, Martina, I'll come back to you on that. I see that you've made a point that we can develop further. But Ampim, this is a good point that Martin makes, isn't it? That the economy would have to grow by itself, and if the demand is there for a 24-hour economy, then there will be, because demand and supply will necessitate that companies and suppliers will now have to shift in the gear that the people are demanding. That is quite some good point to say that you can't just impose 24-hour economy on the economy and then expect that it will work.
Yeah, Kwaku, thank you very much for having me, and a very good morning. A very good afternoon or good evening to your listeners as well. Martin is a very good economic student. I mean, like way back from the University of Ghana. So I mean, like he has like great points like when it comes to the management of, I mean, like an economy. Is that we Ghanaians like to do comparisons with the economy of like the UK, like the US. So when we replicate them here, possibly it will work. And I mean, I have had, like different arguments on these things. I like Dr. Nimoy Thompson. And I believe that he's actually the one nurturing this idea. But my issue is that in managing an economy like Ghana, the broad discussions, should even be around the fact that using a party's manifesto to manage a country like Ghana, is that the best ideal form? I believe that as a political party, they definitely must, do come out with great manifestos and all. If you look at the track records of both political parties, like the leading political parties in Ghana, and how they've managed our economy, if you go back and look at their manifestos, they had great ideas, but then normally when they come to power, we actually do not see anything. So I've had issues with, managing an economy like Ghana with a party manifesto. Kwaku, the feasibility of a 24-hour economy is not something that is like rocket science that cannot be done. It can't be done. But my point is that looking at an economy like Ghana, even where we are with IMF and all, how feasible are you able to, do something like a 24-hour economy? Which is very feasible. Let me use my city, Memphis, here in Tennessee, as an example. if you take the city Memphis, for instance, FedEx, which is actually a very huge company in the world, is headquarters here. I mean, like they have their headquarters here in Memphis, right? FedEx, UPS, and all. So possibly the city of Memphis is sort of seen as a logistics city. So if a city like Memphis is a 24-hour economy city, most definitely you have people working in warehouses, you have people working in manufacturing, brands and all those. Therefore, you can argue out that there's a 24-hour economy. If you look at places like the New York City, where they have subways that run 24/7, where, I mean, there are a lot of manufacturing companies, I mean, world greatest banks and all those people. In all these cities that, I mean, like I'm talking about, there are something unique, something great that they are doing. Take, for instance, the economy of Ghana. If you say that we are to do a 24-hour economy, and I mean, hearing the other jobs, I mean, from the other political parties, like, we already operating a 24-hour economy like Choba. I mean, I'm actually not surprised, because what then are we to show? What then do we have to show that, okay, we have a company like FedEx, we have this, we have that, so operating a 24-hour economy? Because I know people work in places like Pomasidor, Ghana, that produces like cowbell and all those. They have day, they have night shift. Do you understand? And even looking at the Ghanaian culture with work attitude and all these things must come to play. I mean, I am not saying that the 24-hour economy is not feasible. It is feasible. It can be done. But looking at our present economy, where we are as a country, I mean, is it not because maybe like someone is desperate to come to power? Is it not? And sometimes listening to the argument, I mean, I've read, like some point from Dr. Nimoy Thompson. And he's a person who actually argued out that the National Planning Commission of Ghana had I think a 2-decade plan for Ghana. So sometimes hearing him come back to talk about 24-hour economy, sometimes, I mean, I beg to differ, but from where we stand as an economy, where there's haircuts, where we are not seeing pensions, where, like investor confidence is not even there. With IMF, I mean, look at the rating from Modus and all those. Operating a 24-hour economy, I mean, like, is it something that you would want to do in 2025 when you take on power as a president? And to be honest with you, except from Dr. Nimoy Thompson, that I've heard some good argument for. I think most of the party communicators just shut up.
Okay.
I've
Emmanuel,
argument from any other person again.
Hello, Emmanuel. Yeah, I'll come to you shortly. I think.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
yeah.
you see, I understand. My friends are not currently in the country, so they may probably not understand the terrain, or they may
These
not.
are people.
They are people.
I'm people like this lives in the United States, so
Yes.
he sees how
He
it's
sees
done.
how it's practiced. You see,
He's telling you that what you are trying
so
to do.
is he saying that what is done there is not Ghana cannot implicate or whatever that they are doing there? That's what we can't do here in Ghana. You see, recently the trade minister submitted an LI. They wanted to put a stop to importation of some essential products into the country. When you look at the top 10 commodities imported into this country, Kwaku, these are commodities that if we put ourselves together as a country and we give ourselves that capacity, we are able to give people that intentional purpose to create some of these things or to manufacture some of these things. The over dependence on the foreign aids and importation of many other things that we use most of our revenue for as a country would see a major fall. You see, even in Ghana, it's so comical for us to feel that even toothpick, we import it from outside. So what happens if we can empower ourselves, we can build ourselves, give ourselves that capacity to produce some of these things? I said earlier on, top 10 commodities imported in Ghana are things that if we have the capacity as a country, we can do. Look at the number of shower gels that people import. Look at the number of soaps, even washing soaps and other things. Imagine that government institutions, even the ministries, district assemblies and many other government institutions are using made in Ghana products. There will be that demand. And see, the importation, when you look at the things that we import in Ghana, the rice and the many other products that we import, it is not that there is no demand. That's what my brothers are not getting so right. Maybe there is a high demand for these things. So if there is a high demand, there is something that we call in marketing as an opportunist market or opportunity marketer. When you see that there is a high demand for something, you quickly find yourself to produce that so that you can make business out of it. So if you realize that there is a high demand on these essential products and these commodities in Ghana, and with the right capacity and intentional government substitute for some of these things, when government can intentionally support some of these businesses and some companies to manufacture these things to substitute the high rate of importation, I think this is a good call that many other people, even including organization AGI and many other people, are saying that it's a very good policy. And you see, the policy is just a nutshell. It's just something that is given. Kwaku, I don't know if you understand that in policy implementation, there is an implementation framework and there is a policy development which comes out. Many of these people are asking some questions that when the implementation framework comes in 2025, after the president becomes the president, some of these questions will be answered. The implementation framework is there, the policy framework is there. People just need to understand. You can't just, you see, everybody has the right to question everything, but when you make the conscious effort to ask something and you ask, when you don't understand something so well, somebody can just say anything.
But he understands this. He has used the context of that
so
to try and explain to you why he believes it may be done.
So the need for you to ask the one who codes the message to give you the password for decoding.
We've seen so many politicians make outlandish. No, we had a sky train.
And who are these people? You see, so you are saying that the messenger is the same, is quite important as the message.
No,
you see, you look at Terminal 3 by President John Dramani Mahama. It's operating 24/7. Look at the MPS, the expansion of the port and harbour. These are some of the things that the president has done that is operating 24/7. You see, this man has a track record of things that he has said and done. This is not the ordinary 1 million one constituency slogan. This is not the ordinary 1 million one constituency. This is someone who has a track record of doing certain things that he said. Look at the Terminal 3, as I mentioned earlier on. Look at the port expansion, which is giving the 24-hour process. Look at many other institutions, even the DVLA and passport office. There is a backlog and a lot of people go and queue there to have access to these things. If government is very intentional about doing some of these things, what is it that we are sleeping 16 hours and someone is proposing that 16 hours you are sleeping, someone should be working in your absence as you also work in the day? What is so difficult about this?
Okay, hold it there. Let me hear from Emmanuel. Let him respond to some of the issues you raised.
Yes, Kwaku. I mean, I heard from
Philip,
the NDC spokesperson.
He's not the NDC spokesperson. He's here in his own.
Let me also say this. If you say airports are working, okay. Sorry. If you say that airports are operating 24, there's nowhere in the world that airports are not operating 24/7. The argument is that looking at our present economic circumstance, where we find ourselves as an economy, even giving ourselves the next decade, right? We are not saying that 24-hour economy is not feasible. I have stated to you that it is very feasible. But then what do you need, right, to roll out a policy like a 24-hour economy? The needs that, you may need, are we able to provide them in the short term as we speak? When the president, when your candidate wins the presidency in 2024 and sworn in your office in 2025, is he able to implement such things? That is actually what we're talking about. And I gave you an example that if you take the economy of New York, if you take the economy of Memphis, right? Clear example is that they have FedEx. They have great warehouses, they have great companies. So people are able to rotate shifts. Do you understand? But then if you tell me that if we implement 24-hour economy, there will be jobs to do. Of course, these are rhetorics. These are theories.
But what do you mean, Kwaku, that 24-hour economy doesn't give jobs? No one will work for the 24 hours. Someone would need to work an 8-hour shift. The other person comes to do the other. And you see, these things are not things that are coming out of the vacuum. The president, when he was in power, implemented certain things that were build-ups to the 24-hour economy. And this forms part of, even when you look at the National Policy Development Plan for the 40 years plan that we have as a country, instituted by the President, John Dramani Mahama, you see, this is part of it. And even in the 2020 manifesto of the NDC, this 24-hour economy was part of it. You see, he has started listed things that would contribute to this. When he said that there will be availability of schools, there will be progressively free education, he started building e-blocks. When he said that there will be free medical care to some people, we are building hospitals. So you don't say that. You see, we need to start from somewhere. We need to start from somewhere. You can't just say that. You can't just say that we need to wait for another 20 years, continue depending on other people.
I think what he's saying is that you build gradually. I mean,
radical approach and being intentional about it, that we are starting this.
All right, Philip. Okay. I think the point Emmanuel makes is that you need to build gradually. But
and we are building gradually. He's not saying that when it comes to people will need to subscribe to this. And you see, it is not something that is saying that when President John Dramani Mahama becomes president, immediately 24 hours 7, there is a policy framework, as I said earlier, and there is an operational framework which will spell out how these things would be carrying on. So you can't just say something that you have little idea about.
There have been policy framework there. There have been policy implementation strategies by government. I mean, of course, there's no one who put out a policy that you wouldn't have policy strategies for implementation. We are all policy students. But the fact is that if you look at all these policy like strategies or implementation strategies that these people put together, most policies in Africa, most policies in Ghana still failed.
But why are you? Why? No,
Philip, I get you. Philip, your mic is off. 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 Hold on. Philip, your mic is off. I'm saying that. You let him finish making his point. I'll let you come in and respond, okay? So please hold your horses there for a minute. Let him make his point. Let him get to the end. I'll go to Martin. I'll come back to you. Then we can make some progress. Ampem, let me hear you.
I mean, of course, there are policies. I mean, whoever that comes out with a policy, if you speak to any policy analyst or, like any policy strategist, before you implement a policy, there are policy implementation strategies and all. But it does not defeat the fact that the 24-hour economy proposal has a policy implementation strategy. Therefore, it wouldn't fail. We've had policies that have failed, that have failed over these years in Ghana. I mean, if policies had not failed in Ghana, how did we even get here? So the point that I'm making is that it does not mean that because you have a policy strategy, or because you have policy documents, the policy should magically work. What I'm saying is that there are strategies that you need to put in place. There are some feasibility studies, some things that you need to see. And I gave you a clear example. Let me tell you, if you put up industries in Ghana today, you wouldn't need people to work 24 hours for those companies to operate.
Okay.
If you put, people need jobs to do in Ghana. If you put companies in Ghana right now, you have people working in them in even daytime. But where are the companies? There are no industries. You tell me, Ghana is, we import these things, we import that.
Okay.
Where are even the companies to even produce all these things that you are saying?
Okay. So I see where you are headed, Emmanuel, and I think that is some of the point that Philip is making, that it's an opportunistic marketing. So you find a loophole and you try to fill it. I see that Force has joined us, but I want to give Martin a word on all of this. Then I can go back to Force, who also lives in the United Kingdom. Emmanuel lives in the US, but Force is in the United Kingdom. He's seen how that economy operates 24/7, no sleep. But Emmanuel, Martin, you've heard your colleagues.
Well, I think that it has been established that this policy has not been very well thought through. It has not been thoroughly thought through. You can see that there are so much holes. Everybody seems to be punching holes into the policy because it's been rushed on the basis of desperation. Because look, if you mention some other countries as a citadel or as an example of other countries which have implemented a 24-hour policy, I mean, you probably might be speaking from the angle of ignorance, because if you go back and study how those countries have transitioned into a 24-hour economy, I don't think you'll be sitting here and you just tell me that you just communicate to the Ghanaian people that the system was just created and imposed on that particular economy. I mean, experience across the countries. Those of us who study other economies, for instance, when you go to Singapore, those are the areas where we have a burgeoning 24-hour market system that is operating. When you go through Lee Kuan Yew's book, From Third World to First World, you would understand how they were able to transition or to move gradually into that particular system. It was not imposed, it was organic. It was grown from the economy. So it wasn't forged in a room or organized by a certain people within a round table and say, okay, Ghanaians or Singaporeans, just take this. Go around, well, just take this and operate a 24-hour economy. I mean, if you want to imitate, you imitate rightly. If you want to remain, there's one profound statement that if you want to remain, then you must be ready to walk a long haul. You must be able to be in my shoes and walk the long haul. One important thing I need to make, there are much very important tools that we can be able to instill into the economy to encourage the private sector to produce to meet a certain demand. I mean, it goes beyond 24-hour economy. It involves the business climate, a lot of factors that we need to put right to ensure a very fair business climate. A lot of incentives. We still have a lot of high import duties and all those things. These are critical matters we need to refer to be able to make our business sector, private sector, to make them grow and grow really.
All right.
But it's not a 24-hour economy. I mean, he also mentioned Gapoha and Box and other areas. I mean, simply expanding the productive hours of certain key services is not an innovation that deserves standing ovation. It is already in existence. I mean, like I've mentioned earlier, within the healthcare, the emergency centers, the transportation companies, and all those things, they all somewhat operate around the clock services. The idea of wanting to expand it to certain state parastatals cannot be repackaged to Ghanaians as a 24-hour market economy. We strongly reject that camp by the NDC. I want to put it clearly that one thing, yes, a 24-hour economy is a perfect thing, but let's not rush it. We shouldn't rush it because of the politics of it.
For political expediency, Martin, good point there. But first, you are in the United Kingdom. You've heard the arguments around this table about feasible, not feasible. Wait for some time. How is it done? You see how it is done there in the United Kingdom. You've been living there for so long. And then you see our economy at a very nascent stage. What are some of the lessons we draw to be able to get this done? Of course, if the NEC wins and they implement this, or even if this government try to take this up. Hello, Foss.
Well, Kwaku, a very good evening to you. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're live.
Can you hear me? Good. Okay. A very good evening to you and your listeners and my fellow panelists. I'm just trying to understand the fact that this is a policy that somebody said, but I think instead of looking at it from the Ghanaian perspective, everybody seems to be looking at it through a political spectacle. And I'm struggling with that a little bit. Well, I don't know how that is going to happen, but I can just give you a brief synopsis of what really happens in the UK. What they have done is they've created the environment in the UK, and they've created the infrastructure in the UK, and they've created processes in the UK that allow the 24-hour economy that we live in to happen. There are buses that run 24 hours, because there are night buses, there are day buses. So transportation is, you can get to work, to and from work. I can't see that in Ghana. I've been to Ghana loads of times, and in most places in Ghana, come 6 to 9 o'clock is just the evening economy, and about For example, I think the only place that tends to be alive a bit more after 10, 11 p.m. is maybe the Osu area. That's a very small proportion of Accra, really. So I think it's feasible. Yes, it is feasible. The processes has to be put in place. However, the main infrastructure, how many police patrols do we see in Ghana in the night time, apart from them setting up barriers? I'm talking about real patrols. Because the barrier is the person has to go through the barrier for you to at least apprehend them. So in the UK, there are patrols every night, and there are not just one or two, there are loads of them going about. So I think that we need to look at making sure that we've got the infrastructure, even the road networks. Some parts of the UK, they don't even repair the roads during the day, they do it at night. So that people going to work will get up in the morning and they've tied a whole road, a whole mile or 2-3 miles of the road, so they can go on to work peacefully. So I just think that we need to look at it with a clear and open-mindedness. That I can't actually feel that in this people that I'm actually on the panel with. You need to look at it with that clear and open-mindedness, because it will take time. However, the UK did not get to this overnight. It took time, they put processes in place, and they were linked infrastructural things and linked associations, linked security agencies, they linked things that people can communicate. I mean, because I have witnessed something in Ghana that shook me to the core. There was an accident at night, and they couldn't get the ambulance service to get to it because they said the ambulance service was gone. They were not there. And even if the ambulance services can't be accessible when one needs them at their point of need, how can we be talking about 24-hour economy?
Right, interesting points that you make there, Force. And I'll come around the table quite pretty shortly so that we can try and wrap up. But let's do some messages. You've been sending us your messages and your thoughts on this, thick and fast. So on Twitter, our poll, the question I asked, are you willing to work in the proposed 3-shift system as part of a 24-hour economy? And of course, because of the employment or unemployment situation in the country, your guess is as good as mine where this is headed. An overwhelming 86% of people who have taken part in this poll, running in the thousands, say yes, they want to work in that because they need jobs. Because, of course, so many people do not have jobs. And then 14% say no, they want to probably get some sleep or get some rest. But 86% of people who have taken part in this poll saying that they really want to participate in the 24-hour economy. And let's do some WhatsApp messages as well and see how it goes, because a lot of you have been sending us WhatsApp messages on the 055 1111997 055 11997, and really interesting. If you go on Twitter, the polling is showing that 86% of you say that you really want to work in a 24-hour economy. Let me take this from our WhatsApp console. It says, for the NPP sympathizer, speaking about 24-hour economy has not been thought through. The evidence of the outcome of the free SHS implementation as we see it today is the clearest indication it wasn't thought through prior to its implementation. One clear action that will give a boost to the 24-hour economy proposal is the extension of the Friday wear policy for the whole week. Imagine the short-term arm it will give to the fashion industry. That is Jesse from Sakumono. He says this clearly hasn't been thought through, and he believes it could end up just like the free SHS. That is what he says, and that is what he believes. Let me take this from Esther from Usu. He says, these politicians should give us a break. We, the electorate, are fed up with the NDC and MPP politics. They should bow their heads in shame because they, the politicians, try to enrich themselves at the expense of the poor taxpayer. That is Esther from Usu. Let me take one more from our WhatsApp console. A lot of them coming in before we come around the table to wrap up. And like I told you, if you go on Twitter, 86% say that the 24-hour economy is something they want to work in. And Bannerman, Kwaku, Bannerman is in the US. He says the former president's 24-hour economy proposal is laudable idea. That is Sam Bannerman in the United States. He says that the former president's 24-hour economy proposal is really a laudable idea. So let's come around the table and let's make some progress. Philip, you've heard from everybody. I mean, Martin, Force, they all they agree that, listen, this economy, we need 24-hour economy. You can't build on it. But you don't have the system in place to be able to withstand what a 24 economy. You don't have the transportation system. If people are working in Tema and they live at Dodowa, how do they get there? Do they get to spend so much time in traffic or on bad roads, spend 4 hours of their 8-hour shifts in traffic or using bad roads and go there? So you don't have that yet. So tarry a bit slowly. This is something you agree with, that let's build something. You like you do say in the law, you can put something on nothing. So let's build something and then we can take it up from there.
Is it, Goku, in as much as we build something on something, there is a need that, of course, you don't build a house without a foundation. But where do you put the foundation? You put it on nothing. So there's a need to lay the basis. You see, when we are talking about,
you put the foundation on sand, though.
Yeah. So where do you put the sand? The sand is already there.
The sand is already there.
So what is already there? The demand is there. The human capital is there. Those who are ready to do this work are there. So if we are talking about, if this is a construction, then we can say that the demand and the human capacity or human capital to do this work is the sand that is there. So they need to build that foundation. You see, if you agree that this is something that is laudable, which is being implemented wherever you find yourself outside Ghana, and you think that it is good, it is making life very comfortable and the economy doing so well there, what is so evil about it if it's implemented in Ghana? Because here in Ghana, we have what it takes to also get to that level of having a 24-hour economy. You see, we have a 24. We are looking at a situation where we have a country where we can get people working for 8 hours, another group of people coming for another 8 hours, and you are saying that you don't have the system, you don't have it. Now, President John Dramani Mahama is saying that this is not just coming out of vacuum. There are institutional reforms that are coming along his 24-hour economy. When you look at the policy documents, when you look at the frequently asked questions that were responded to, Kwaku, you could see that there were even issues of legislation. There will be an act of parliament that will regulate this. You and I know that there are many works that we do right now in Ghana. The employment and labor law does not capture some of these great or employment related
gig economy.
So the gig economy and many other things that is there. But when you say that this is laudable idea, but you say that because politicians over the years have been lying to the people of Ghana, for that matter, it can't be done in Ghana. I see this to be that you are using the anger from Kwaku to beat Kwame. Because if a politician has promised an economy or promised something that is touted to be the best, and yet we couldn't see anything out of it because probably someone promised us 1 district, 1 factory, and we can't see it because a politician has promised us public toilets and we can't see the toilets as they are. You can't say that this is not well thought of policy. If this is not a well thought of policy, do you think that...
Not the disposition of human once bitten to a child.
No, you see, that is the position of humans, but this is someone who has a track record of doing or living up to expectations. I mentioned quite few things that this man has done, President John Dramani Mahama has done, which shows that if we repose our faith in him once again, he will do the best for us. He will not be like some people who will dig a hole in the city of Accra. You see, this is someone who has done many good things in the country. You see, you can say that the idea would not help because you think that it's a politician saying it. But we are in a country where our leadership is, they are all politicians. Politicians are those that are taking the decisions and they are the one implementing it. Hold this man to this and say that, oh, Mr. Man, you said you are coming to implement a 24-hour economy and some of these things cannot be implemented and this. You see, the long and short of all this is that those who have concerns that this policy cannot be well implemented in Ghana are just lagging. They should get closer, approach the one proposing this policy, approach those who know about this, engage the civil servants and the organized labor, ask them about this, let them explain it to you better. You can't just sit somewhere and say that you just wake up and say that this cannot be implemented in Ghana. If it is implemented somewhere, what shows that it can be implemented in Ghana?
In Ghana. Well, Philip Saba, good point to end the show. Philip Saba is a student of the law. We've heard from Emmanuel Owusueje. He's a graduate student, Tennessee, United States. Force brought some interesting perspectives about the infrastructure and how we have to build on. And then Abdallah Martin, always a delight to listen. Those of you who joined us on WhatsApp, it was great reading your text. And those of you who participated in our poll, that was good, gave us some basis for the show. The library is up next with Andy Dosty, and we've been discussing the 24-hour economy. We'll be with you again next week for some big issues and some big conversations.